Hello and welcome to another episode. As always, we talk about a lot of different things in this episode, but the focus today is increasing cash flow, not necessarily decreasing the amount of money that's going out. A lot of times, how we're conditioned, the first thing we think is, oh, how can we cut expenses? How can we cut expenses? But when we really focus on it, we can increase cash flow, and we don't necessarily need to be decreasing the amount of money that we're spending. Now, let's obviously be smart about things, but when money is moving through the economy, it is good for everybody. So we talk a little bit about that and how we can improve strategies to increase cash flow and get some money moving around. We hope that you enjoy today's episode. If you do, please leave us a review and share it to one of your friends.
Welcome to the Cash Calf Podcast, where we talk about everything business, including the mentality and practicality of the side hustle. Here are your hosts, Tyler Martin and Matt Bitter.
How's it going?
It's good. How are you doing?
Good.
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 Just like always, we have great conversation. It's like, man, we should be hitting record on this.
Yeah. And that's fun because, there's just so many opportunities out there, and we both are always looking for opportunities and learning throughout the week. And so it's hard not to just have fun talking when we get together. So it's great.
Yeah, I totally agree. So today we're going to talk about that and the mindset behind it, which mindset and business are so important, but a lot of times we just talk about the steps. You know, we need to set up an LLC, we need to get insurance, we need to do this, we need to do that, rent. But the mind, that's, if we can control that, we can control anything.
Yeah.
So kind of
that book that you gave me, that you sent me, the current one, is it
12 months,
12 months to a million?
Yeah.
He talks about that in there where, kind of the job mindset versus the entrepreneur mindset is just, it's not even I think maybe that's where people have the most problem, is just they think that, oh, well, I can be the same person or the same mindset. It's just in a different setting. And that's not how it works. It's completely different mindset, to go from one to the other. You've got to think completely different things. You've got to deal with completely different problems and have kind of a completely different personality in a way to just deal with it and move forward and go for, and make it happen. So it is a completely different mindset, like you're saying. Yeah.
Well, even when we, apply for a job, how much am I going to make an hour, or how much am I going to make a year? That is such a different, it's such a shift to go, okay, how much value can I add and how much value can I get back from that value creation? Mm-hmm. I couldn't put an hourly rate on myself. I have no idea. Mm-hmm. But I do know what I enjoy, and I do know how I like to add value to the world. And, then how can we get that value back? Totally different mind shift.
Yeah.
Mind shift, mindset.
Yeah. Well, and like you say, with a job, it's kind of like, okay, either you're there or you're not. When you're an entrepreneur, you're always there, even though sometimes even though you can kind of choose when you're there or not, like you say, it's hard to track how much time it is, because you might answer the phone at 10 o'clock at night when somebody has a problem that they're trying to solve on a project that they're working on for you or something,
Yeah.
But, so I think a lot of people look at entrepreneurs and business owners as, oh, they have so much freedom, which they do. I can go to my daughter's cheer competition this weekend and not have to show up for a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But while I'm there, as problems arise and I just plan on their problems, are going to happen, then I need to have my phone so that I can figure out the problems and solve them from there. So you're never really away from it, but you still can kind of choose when you come and go, sort of.
Which there's huge freedom.
Or how you structure it.
Yes, huge freedom in that. Just knowing, hey, I can go here, I can go there. You might physically be in a location, but your mind is, back with developing or business or whatever that is. And as time goes on, if our end goal is to sell said business, then we do have to structure it in a way that we're not there, so that when problems arise, they're taken care of and customers are taken care of. But that all comes with time and depending on the level of involvement. We've talked about farmers a lot. We both know farmers that love it so much, they're not going to set that business up to sell it because they want to go farm.
Yeah.
And
they want to do every part of the business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It is. It's fun because that also opens up so many different doors in business. You can be the technician if you want to be the technician. You can be the manager if you want to be the manager. You can be the entrepreneur / business owner if you want to be that.
Yeah.
You can start your own job or you can start your own business. It's totally up to you.
Yeah. And I think that's my favorite part about it. Like even anything that I do, I've had some people ask me like, well, why are you doing that? Like the number one answer for me is because it's fun. Whether it's successful or not, it's fun to go and learn that or whatever.
Yeah.
I think number two for me is being able to not have any, like right now, nobody in the world cares where I'm at or what I'm doing. I mean, people care, but it's not like I have a boss that's saying, hey, like calling and, hey, where do you need to be right now? Or can you come in on Friday to cover this or whatever? Like, there's none of that.
Yeah.
Like, it's totally up to me. Now, there's some ownership. There's a ton of ownership that has to go into that. You can't be laying in bed all day and that kind of stuff. But it's cool because if I need to run to Idaho Falls and get a part or go to Idaho Falls because I want to go to Idaho Falls or whatever I want to do, I can do that. It's cool. It's fun to be able to have that kind of a lifestyle, but there is a lot of responsibility that comes along with it.
Yeah. And that's, I think, where the mindset shift comes in and you go, okay, when I am present and I am here, I've got to add some value. Like I've got to be efficient and put in the work, because there's also something about, if I hop out of bed and I kind of drive to Idaho Falls and
go look at a gun or something. Yeah.
Yeah. There's some things that right now, because of how I've set up my life, I need to do. There's that mindset shift of, okay, here's the steps that need to be done for the day. Got to get out and do it. But if I do those things, I'm free to go do whatever I want.
Yep.
Unless some problems arise, and that's just because I've set it up that way.
Yeah. So it is cool. It's just it is I think it's a very cool mentality because we live in a world where there are so many ways to add value that you can mold that and structure that however you want to add that value into a lifestyle that suits you as a person. Like there's no one size fits all with entrepreneurship. You get to do whatever you want to do and structure your lifestyle however you want to structure it. So it's cool.
I like how you put that. Just that there's no one size fits all for entrepreneurs. That's very true. Everything. It's all different. Every part of it, every business,
Yeah. It's fun.
It is fun. It's a little bit, well, it's all on subject because we're talking about business, but we've talked about that lady Miriam. She has a TikTok and she paints stuff on her face.
Yeah.
I mean, even something like that, that's so much fun for her probably. She's adding value. She thinks, and she's right, like, people are going to laugh at this. This is going to be great. She's just structuring her life around that. She's got millions of TikTok followers, and I don't know how she monetizes it or if she does, but someone can literally paint stuff on their face and move their lips in a certain way and make people laugh and make a living. Like, we live in a very interesting, abundant world.
Yeah.
Where you can paint your face and make a ton of money.
One that I saw that was really cool, that's been popping up in my Instagram, whatever, is this guy that makes custom tie-dye shirts. And he takes it and he has this very intricate way that he rubber bands them all together so that it's it's very intricate. And then he dyes each of them a certain color or whatever and shows him doing it. And then he shows the finished product, and they're incredible designs. Like, I don't know how he does it. I'm not an artistic person that way at all. So, but then he set it up so that he puts those up for auction, so in his stories or whatever, he'll say, hey, this is, this was the finished product. The size is a large. This will go on auction at midnight or whatever. And it'll be on there for 24 hours. The, best offer in the comments gets it, whatever. He's getting like $400 or $500 per shirt because they are very unique. There's a story behind it. And I mean, obviously the guy's passionate about what he's doing. It's a hobby that he's like, hey, this is really cool. Now it's moved into a business, and the guy probably just sits at home and smokes pot all day. I don't know, but
Man,
but it's so
I have
cool.
such a great idea.
Yeah.
For this tie-dye shirt. So scarcity versus abundance.
Yeah.
How many people would look at a custom tie-dye t-shirt, even when you were saying it, there's that little part of me that pops up like, well, what if it's the wrong size for me? Like I'm kind of thinking scarcity mindset in that way. This guy is all about abundance. You have to be. If you're willing to sit there, make a t-shirt, get on, auction it, sell it. If he's making a living doing that, you can do anything you want.
Well, and it was incredible too, because in the comments, it was like, oh, I love this design. I need one in a medium. So he's already getting instant feedback on what sizing he needs to do next.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I'm like, that's the best idea I've seen in a long time. Like, it's cool.
That's really cool.
So it's cool to see what people come up with.
And that lucky guy that's in a medium, I wonder what diet he's on.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Yeah.
Probably some puny little.
He's vegan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only vegans wear mediums.
He needs to eat some meat.
Yeah.
But scarce, and this is something that I've struggled with for a while, and we kind of talked about this earlier as well. But and one way that I've tried to do it in my life, the scarcity versus the abundance mindset is, and I mean, I picked this up somewhere. I didn't come up with this. I can't remember where off the top of my head, but focusing on earning more, not spending less. And that's kind of hard because we live in a society where there's like the Dave Ramsey mentality or Susie Orman or whatever they are, where they're telling people to really scrimp back on their lifestyle and save money and put it away and whatever, which there is some value to that. You have to know where your money's going. You have to be responsible with your money and everything else. But you get to a point to where you really can't save yourself rich, extremely rich. I mean, like, granted, if you're a doctor and you're making $300,000 a year and you're able to save 100 and invest 100, then obviously you're going to get rich. But you look at like what's the average median wage in the United States?
Like 45,000?
Yeah, 40 or 50, something like that. So, I mean, especially with the cost of living now.
Oh, yeah.
How much, like, it would take, in my mind, it would take a huge amount to save an extra $400 or $500 a month. Like, that's 10%.
Yeah.
So to cut back 10% on things, and it's doable, and it's a good thing to do if you can do it. But, that's $500 a month, say. So that's $6,000 a year, which is significant. But over the long term, you're not going to get extremely wealthy at that.
Yeah. You can get comfortable. But that's probably about as far as you can go.
Yeah, and especially if you have, other retirement accounts and whatever, and if you do invest that successfully, say you start flipping houses on the side or whatever, then you can really turn that into something. I kind of throw that into getting more into side hustle business type stuff than the, saving that $500 in a savings account or putting it in a mutual fund or something. But so there is definitely value to that. I don't want to diminish that. And I've done it before. I still do it. Like, I still want to know where our money's going and everything. But as I've tried to change my mindset to, hey, earn more, like, focus on earning more. Don't focus on the scarcity of spending less all the time. Also use some of your energy, and probably the majority of your energy, to focus on earning more and doing that. Then you really can get a lot further faster, it seems
Yeah.
like.
Well, I think it's
In my experience, anyway.
I think you're right. It's going to be a lot easier to make an extra 250 than spend
Yeah, 250 less.
250 less, and especially if you're semi-conservative in your lifestyle. You know, we go to work, we make a certain wage, and there's that thought of, okay, if I make $15 an hour and lunch costs me $15, there goes an hour of my day. Well, then increasing rent, increasing utilities, everything just going up. So much easier to go out and make an extra 250, 500, 1,000. And I like where you were going with, if someone does save extra and then they start flipping houses, you're leveraging that extra that you have to go and make more. Because it is, if you're saving an extra $500 a month, yeah, when you're 60, you're going to have a lot of money if you've pulled an 8% interest compounding over time.
Yeah.
But kind of the point of this for me is to live life now, and it's not taking away from, like, my parents. They worked really hard and they retired, and they still work because they enjoy it. So it's not taking anything away from that, but like, I want to live it now. And so
Yeah.
$500 extra a month that makes me a millionaire right before I die, it's just not okay with me.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like there's so say you're saving 500 a month, and you can only do that so far before you run out of room to save money per month. You know what I mean? Maybe that's confusing. With a business, say you make an extra $500 in a side hustle business. Well, the sky's the limit to what you can compound and grow that to. You know, you can grow that from a $500 a month business up to, you know, relatively quickly.
Yeah.
You know, now you have the skills, you get in it, you kind of understand, okay, I know how to make $500 now. Now I can go out and I can make $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
And you can start scaling that up. The sky's the limit. If you're focused on saving money all the time, then you run out of, you know, what's the most you could save a month? 1,000, maybe. You know, if you're living on 5, now you're scaling it back to 4,500 a month that you're living on. Well, it's going to get harder to go down to 4,000 a month so that you're investing that extra 1,000. You know what I mean? Like it gets harder and harder the lower you go. The easier way is the other direction that has no cap on it. Like it's the sky's the limit. You can take a $500 a month business and make it into a $5 million a month business if you want to.
Yeah.
And if people say it's impossible, we could Google up a whole bunch of stories where people have done that.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably not likely, and you have to be the right person and have the right work ethic as far as that goes, but it is very possible to do that.
I think there's been more millionaires made in the last 2 years than ever, which is partly due to, you know, inflation. The dollar's worth less. But speaking of inflation, we can't save our way out of inflation. If inflation's 10%, most people are not going to get a 10% bump on their wage every year. Yet inflation is 7 to 10% or more right now. We're just not going to get that. So we have to get out and side hustle or total hustle. It just has to happen.
Well, and that's a good point too, because inflation's taken a chunk. You know, back to say you're making $5,000 a month. Back to that example. Well, okay, so you're taking a chunk off of your living expense to try to save that or invest that, you know, to increase your worth, your net worth. Well, inflation's taken a chunk out of that every year too. Like it's kind of a double whammy.
Yeah.
You know, versus focusing on earning more.
Yeah. Increasing cash flow.
Then you're outpacing inflation.
Yeah.
You know, you're kind of gaining on both sides there. So I think it's important. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why there's so many people out there that, at least people that we follow, that are like, you need to hedge your dollar with silver and gold and cryptocurrency and real estate, because at least that stuff is outpacing inflation. You know, it doesn't mean that gold is going to double in price, but it's probably going to go up more than the 10% a year that inflation is. And so, I mean, there's a few different ways that we can increase cash flow, or at least start stop ourselves from going down with inflation. So one that you've talked about a lot that I need to be better at and look into is dividends on stocks.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that was one that I had in my mind that I just wanted to pick your brain about a little bit.
Well, I like it just because, and I mean, I'm relatively new to all of that kind of stuff as far as stocks and whatever, but I like it. I like it from a few different reasons. Number one, it's really liquid. I mean, you can be in a position, if you need that money, you can pull it out and get it within a couple days, whereas some other investments, it's pretty tied up, like real estate, for example.
Yeah.
So that's why I like to have some in there, but also being diversified across a whole bunch of different things too. But yeah, dividends are cool just because as companies make money and they become profitable, then they pay out a percentage to their shareholders every quarter, usually is what it is. And, especially right now with stock prices being high, where we're just under all-time highs, then the percentage doesn't seem like much, like for, something good might be 3 or 4 or 5% a year.
Yeah.
Which people go, well, what, obviously that's not even keeping up with inflation.
Yeah.
But at least it's a little bit of cash coming in, some cash flow. And then also, as you also get the appreciation from that stock too, or depreciation, I guess, if it goes the other way.
Yeah.
And then over the long term, as those companies continue to grow and become more profitable, they tend to keep with that dividend and increase the dividend.
Yeah.
So say it's a 5% per year dividend right now, but in 20 years, the value of that company is doubled. Well, 5% is now double the amount in dollars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And your cost basis is lower. Like we've talked about Warren Buffett on here before.
It's so funny.
And
just in my mind.
Just like say he started buying Coca-Cola, who knows how long ago, 60 years ago or whatever. I think I've read articles where his cost basis on Coca-Cola is like $3, because he just bought it cheap. And then over the years and that's so one thing I like to do is I'll take the price, what I get in dividends, and take that off of what I paid for it. So then it actually, subtract that return, and then it's like I paid less for the stock because I'm putting that against it. So that's probably the $3 a share is probably him, people figuring in what his dividends were over the year and everything, and so his cost basis is $3 a year or $3 a share.
Yeah.
Right now, say Coca-Cola is paying out $1 a year in dividends.
Yeah.
That's a 30% return.
Yeah.
And it's just because he's held onto that stock for 60 years or whatever, and the dividend has grown over time. Back in the day, it might have been a 10-cent dividend, but now Coca-Cola has grown. And so
I wonder what the percentage is
too
for him. Like, I wonder how many dollars he's put in versus how many dollars it's worth. I'm sure someone's figured.
I read something like his overall average return, I think, is like 18 or 20%, something like that.
That's
like,
it?
Like per year. Yeah, I mean it's not crazy high,
but since it compounds, and it's the dividends,
it's compounded over time. And he'll even, I've watched some stuff, and he'll even tell you that compounding works. It's not that he made good stock picks; he just bought good companies that he knew would grow over time, and that's where he got. So it's just extending that time horizon.
Yeah, for sure. I was just talking with my brother at lunch, and he said with compounding, it's that last double that matters.
Yes.
And so I like that.
It like adds up the whole rest of it almost, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a year that gets, whatever year that is, but it is huge.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It was kind of fun to hear his philosophy on his kids. He wants them their first 5 years to put just the majority of what they make away. Like that's your you're compounding your retirement money and then just keep adding to it. But that first 5 years, put everything that you can possibly into it. And then have kids. And I mean, he's not saying don't have kids until then, but you know, that first 5 years of really going out and working, put everything into it, have your kids, get your house, get your cars and everything, but you've got that basis and then let it grow.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool because I'm like the opposite for myself. I'm like, no, I want to take that and I want to put it into stuff and see what I can do and see if I can build it.
And I think there's value for both. Yeah. I'm kind of the same way.
Yeah.
But because I do think that we can, by building businesses and adding value and doing that kind of stuff, I do think that we can compound a lot faster.
Yes.
Like, I totally agree with you there.
Yeah. The nice thing is, you got to have both ways for, you know, the world. Everyone's different. Like you said, it's not a one size fits all for entrepreneurs. It's not for life either. So I think we can learn from all of that. Like, we can side hustle and compound it really fast. It's also kind of historically safe over on the other side, which is, you know, compounded up until retirement. Many ways.
But you don't, but the real wealth, like you look at the real wealthy people that are like I know people that have worked and retired and they live comfortably. Like, I think, you know, we'd kind of talked about in the beginning of the podcast. And that's great. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you look at the people that are really wealthy and they retire or whatever, and maybe they don't ever retire. They still, like, they have a lifestyle where they can do whatever they want, but they're still managing a business or whatever because they absolutely love it, you know. But the people that get to the lifestyle that I think we all look at and is like, oh, that's awesome. They travel, you know, they take 12 awesome vacations a year or whatever it is, you know, those people that just really have done well, it's through building a business.
Absolutely.
You know, it's more often than not, like, all the people that I can think of, for the most part, I can think of a couple that have done really well in careers and had high paying jobs that have done well. But even those, you know, maybe they're a doctor, they own their own practice in a surgical center. They own businesses
it's
around
the business
that.
that's put them there.
Yeah.
Or it's the amount of time and money, and then they've taken that and put it into something that returns.
Yeah.
So it actually has to be business.
Yeah. Yeah, I
mean, I guess, okay, I say it has to be business, but let's say you can hit it really hard on a cryptocurrency or something like that. So there are ways to hedge against the dollar. Crypto dividends, interest, that sort of thing. But if you hit it, it's got to be business.
Well, and I even look at the investing part of it as business too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I do a little bit of investing on the side in stocks and options and that kind of stuff. I view that as a business.
Yeah.
Like, I have expenses associated with that, you know, that are business expenses, you know, and my gains are taxed as earned income, you know, and so I kind of just view everything as business, even crypto, you know, like say somebody does their research and, you know, makes a good trade on crypto or whatever. I still kind of see that as to me, that's no different. Them buying something low and selling it high is no different than somebody buying fertilizer and seed and land and a tractor and growing a plant and selling it higher than what they've got into it. Like, to me, it's just all kind of the same, you know? I mean, it's all business to me, but maybe that's, I don't know.
I agree with you. People might see it different, but then once they get into it, it is a business. You know, you're investing your time and your money into something that essentially speculating or figuring out how to make it grow.
Yeah.
Just like farmers.
Yeah. Well, and even like the crypto example, you're putting, you know, people say, oh, well, I bought it at this and I sold it at that. Well, you still have time that you're, you know, an expense of time that's gone into that, expense of a computer maybe or whatever, expense of maybe some subscription to some newsletters or something to figure out what's going to be the best thing, you know, like there still is input cost to that. It's not just a roll of the dice. I mean, it could be, but there is even and maybe this is a stupid example because
I love it. Bring it.
But the lottery, like even the lottery, like totally lucky. Well, there's still some expense in driving to the place. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's expense in everything.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying that I think that playing the lottery is a business, but
I'm going to go buy a couple tickets right now. No, but you're right. I mean, and you're totally right in what you're saying. I'm not saying that it's a stupid example, but you know, it is
a stupid example.
It's dumb to bet on that. But the only people that win the lottery are the people that play the lottery.
Yeah.
So,
but historically, that's not a way to get wealthy because all those people end up broke anyway.
Yeah.
So pick something that has better odds.
Yeah. Well, pick something that makes you learn and grow and become the person that can keep a hold of the money.
Yes, absolutely.
Because that's really what it ends up being is someone that went from zero to multimillionaire in the lottery. Yeah, they're a millionaire and they lose it because they're not a millionaire.
Right.
They didn't learn how to get that money. They've just always known if I play the lottery, there's a chance I can win it. And then they take their $20 million and they buy a house and a yacht and another boat and a vehicle. And then 5 years later, they have nothing. And they're like, I don't get it. I had millions of dollars.
Yep.
You spent millions of dollars. You're a consumer and you never learned how to be a producer.
Yep. Yeah. They don't even know where it went.
Yeah.
You know, so no, I think the important thing too with like the scarcity versus abundance is our focus too. Like I believe on whatever we focus on expands.
Yeah.
And so if we're focused on reducing expenses all the time, like that's great, but it's only going to expand to a certain degree. You know, there's only so much of that we can do. If our focus is on abundance and creating more value and earning more, then there's unlimited amounts of, you know, that can grow unlimited. And so I think that that's valuable too. It's just what we focus on expands, and so focus on the place that's going to have the biggest opportunity, I guess, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. No, you do know. You're right. You're totally right in that. And there's so much opportunity. And I actually had just written some stuff out, and I don't know exactly why I put it, but rampant money printing is happening right now. And as much as I hate it as a capitalist, I would love for gold to be the standard again. I would love it. Mm-hmm. But it's also a huge opportunity for people that are looking to add value. Well, interestingly, a lot of value is just being printed right now.
Yeah.
And like I said, value. It's got to be in the quotes.
Yeah.
There have been more millionaires made in the last couple of years than ever. And there's a lot of opportunity in ways that we can take what we are valuable in and get it out to the world, whether that's social media or, I mean, there's just everything.
Yeah.
And so it's a great opportunity. It's a great time for people to get in, and it's a necessary time. Like we're talking about, in order to get way ahead or be ahead of inflation or get rich, you have to get out there and start it. Mm-hmm. It's got to start somewhere, and it's probably not in a job. Like I try to be like nice on here, you know, like you can do whatever you want. You can, yes, you can go do whatever you want. But if you want to get rich, you want to live that lifestyle, it has to be through business. Mm-hmm. You got to get out there, add value, create a product, create a service, whatever that is, and get it out to as many people as possible.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree.
But that's the abundance side of it. The scarcity side is there's no people that want my product.
Or there's no opportunity, or, you know,
Yeah.
Which is garbage. There is so much, like we even said,
shirts.
tie-dye shirts, or what was the other one we were talking about?
Painting your face on TikTok.
There is so much. It's cool because we live in a time where, like, even 10 years ago, neither of those were possible. Yeah. Like the tie-dye shirts, maybe in some niche market in hippie town, California, whatever, you know, maybe if you had the right in and the right connection and you knew the guy that owned the store and he really liked your stuff and all the stars aligned, but that was for one person to do, you know, like you supply shirts to that one store and well, that's all the tie-dye shirts we need.
Yeah.
Or the face painting thing, like, okay, you could be a stage act maybe if you knew the right people and, you know, all those stars aligned and all the connections made up. Now, anybody can do that.
Yeah.
And even if somebody else wants to do a face painting channel on TikTok, you're going to do it differently than anybody else on the internet is.
Yeah.
And so you can do it too. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just cool.
It is cool. Yeah. And what is it that you have that you can bring to that? Because, for example, the face painting thing, I can't paint. I guess I could practice, but I can't paint. And she moves her cheeks and face in such a way that, I don't know, I've never really tried it. And I also don't have the skills to do the tie-dye shirt. So somebody develops that throughout time and they put their time and energy into it, they'll succeed. Like, I guess if I really tried, I could do the same with the tie-dye shirt thing. And that's the kind of mentality that we have to have with it. Because if we could look at anything and be like, well, but that person's going to be better than me. Yeah, everybody's going to. Like, there's somebody out there in the world that is better at everything than I am. But maybe I'm willing to put myself out there and try it. You know, like, that's one thing. I don't want to take anything away from the tie-dye shirt guy or the face paint lady, because it's not just the tie-dye shirt. It's the entire presentation that goes into it. He's creating this whole backstory for everybody. And face painting, it's so much more than that. Like, people definitely need to go look up this tie-dye shirt guy and the face painting lady, because it doesn't even come across as that cool. And then you watch it and you're like, that's incredible. Like, the amount of time and energy and talent. But it's hooked to your phone now. So you have 7.8 billion people that can watch you.
Yeah. It's insane.
It is. It's cool.
And even if somebody's like, oh, well, I was going to do that idea, I can't do it anymore. There's still, like, so we were looking up, there's some shirts that we have looked at. There was an Instagram guy, influencer.
Yeah.
I don't know if he considers himself an influencer or what, but like in all of his videos, he wears a shirt that says Patriot.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that company some. Well, I tried to look up their website to see what their apparel was.
Yeah.
And there was like 6 other websites that were Patriot something, Patriot gear or Patriot apparel or whatever, that all had similar stuff, you know, like United States, like patriotism and the United States flag and all of that kind of stuff. Similar ideas, but different designs, you know, so these are 4 or 5 or 6 completely different companies, all kind of doing similar things, but they're all successful. Yeah. You know, and out of those 6 companies or whatever, it wasn't even the one that I was looking for. Yeah. You know, so it's kind of interesting to think like, oh, well, there's maybe a dozen, and then you've got companies that don't even have Patriot in them, you know, like the grunt style shirts or the, what's the other one?
There's like 9-line apparel.
9-line. Yeah, that's the other one I was thinking of, that are similar, kind of a similar target market, but they all have their own spin on it. And so, like, there could be 100, you know, clothing brands around that similar kind of stuff, and they can all be successful because they all are doing it in their own little way.
Yeah, and that's on a national/global scale. Even bring it onto a local scale. I'm curious what the most abundant business is. Like, abundant as in number of stores. Like, maybe there's 10 grocery stores, or there's... Yeah, I would be curious. But you could probably put in another grocery store and be successful. You could put in another car dealership and be successful. You could literally do anything. Because we live in a world of abundance. And nothing is created or destroyed. It's all just converted. So it all exists. It's already here. We just have to organize it. Take like in Genesis, which is a good spin. Read Genesis, I think, through chapter 4, chapter 5, and just think of it from a business creation standpoint. It's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
It's cool. All you're doing is just taking things that already exist and organizing them into something that works.
Yeah. It's so cool.
It is cool. And then I had on here real estate, because that's historically an incredible hedge against inflation, and from an abundance mindset, there's a lot of land. So it was just a thought.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of land, but there's also
Okay.
a lot. There's a big demand for land, and
Yes.
they're not making any more.
Yes.
Which is crazy. And I hear people say all the time, it's crazy what real estate prices are doing, which, I mean, I agree, but it is what it is. I remember when I was growing up, I grew up farming, and we were like, in a farming community, when a piece of ground comes on the market or whatever, it doesn't happen very often. So like, it's always like kind of a pissing match to see who can get it or whatever, and I remember, farm ground would come like the earliest I can remember is like, I think like $1,800 an acre or something like that. And everybody was like, I cannot believe that somebody would pay $1,800 an acre for that.
Yeah.
Well, then I can remember when it was $2,500 an acre, and we thought it was expensive then. And then I remember when it was $4,000 an acre, and everybody thought it was expensive. And I remember when it was $6,000 an acre, and now it's like $7,000 or $8,000 an acre here in our area, or more.
For farm ground.
For farm ground, this is just, open farm ground, whatever. And so, like all of those points along the way, we thought it was so expensive. Looking back now, it was dirt cheap, and we should have been buying it like crazy. And so, and that could go for any asset class. But I think, it's just interesting to kind of think about that.
Yeah. And when I said that, I was saying it from like a real estate, like commercial or residential standpoint. Like there's so many people. But then you bring that up about there's a limited amount of land. Absolutely. Yeah. Like get some.
Yeah.
Because it's...
Especially in highly desirable areas.
Yeah.
Like there's... Well, I don't know. I guess California is still highly desirable, but we are
that's
kind
weird.
of seeing a flow of people out of California into some of these more conservative areas. So it's just something interesting to think about.
Who wants to move to California?
I would love to for the weather.
Okay, yeah.
If the politics were better, you know.
San Francisco sounds nice.
Yeah.
I'm just...
Jeez. Nobody can even afford real estate there anymore, I guess, but they keep it still crazy prices. So I don't know exactly how that works, but that's it baffles me how lots of businesses and commerce and everything are moving out, but people can still afford to live there. But I've never looked into it. I'm sure if we looked into it, we could become an expert in that area. That's right.
And
one thing that I think is really cool about real estate is it's kind of, there's some rules and stuff around if people are realtors and that kind of thing. But if you're just an investor, there is a lot of different ways that you can work in real estate. Like as far as invest in real estate, you can invest in, residential or commercial rental properties. You can invest in just buying and flipping stuff. You can buy something and fix it up. It's cool.
Yeah.
All of the, different ways that you can just kind of find what you like to do within that and do it.
Even within the stock market, there's REITs and just real estate type stocks. There's virtual land. So
yeah, no kidding. Huh?
I mean, really, like anything we want to do or think up can happen. There's a limited amount of virtual land. That makes no sense. But somebody made it up, and now you can buy real estate next to Jay-Z and Beyonce.
I've wondered that, though, because isn't it on certain programs? Like there's a limited amount. Is it the Sandbox? Is that what one of those called or something?
There's that one. There's...
So we need to just create our own.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, it's weird.
Somehow hype it up.
Decentraland is the other one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, hey, I created a world. Well, I created a world. Well, I created a world. Mm-hmm. You want to buy some real estate in my world? But that's kind of the future, as weird as it is. Some 20, 30 years from now, everyone's just going to be sitting on a computer in a virtual land.
Well, the government's going to own all of the actual land.
Yeah.
And we're going to rent it all we're going to own nothing and enjoy it. So we've got to go somewhere where we feel like we own something. So maybe that'll be the role of the virtual land.
Didn't someone from the World Economic Forum say you're going to own nothing and you're going to like it?
Yeah, wasn't it like that Klaus Schwab guy?
We could
the
just
world
go,
we live in.
Yeah, you will own nothing and you will enjoy it.
Yeah, that sounds great.
You know, the World Economic Forum's, all of it is interesting. But they are in favor of printing money. And in this time, in this world right now, we can benefit from that.
Yeah.
And not just, I don't want that to sound super selfish. We can benefit the world from that.
Well, it's not selfish because we're telling people insulate yourself.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about ways that we're trying to do it. We're telling people take advantage of it, hedge yourself, figure out ways so that this doesn't eat you alive, because it can.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that it's selfish at all. I think that it's selfless, and we're trying to say, hey,
yeah,
I don't know.
No, I like that.
I know that whenever I've heard you talk to people about it and stuff, that's where you're coming from, is from a place of, hey, this is scary, and these are ways to hedge yourself against it.
I really think we can all live in a world of abundance. Like, it is a very abundant earth. It's just set up in a way that kind of sucks for some people, but they can get out of it. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the thing, is no matter where we've come from, no matter what we are, color of our skin, none of that matters. We're humans that can elevate ourselves to a position of at least being comfortable. And I think much, much further than that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like that. Well, it's interesting, too. People act, when we say there's an abundance, like there's ample for everybody, there's still a lot of people that think like, well, if you get something, then you're taking something away from other people. And it's so weird, like, to think that way. But, like, think about the tie-dye shirt guy.
Yeah.
Like, he is adding value to that. Like, he's taking a white shirt, he's putting a little bit of paint on it, spending some time on it, so he's probably got maybe $10 into it, let's say. If it's a quality shirt, which it probably isn't. It's probably a generic cotton one.
Yeah.
But so he's got $10 into it. These shirts are selling for like $500. It's incredible.
Yeah.
But, like, is he taking abundance away from like, he took something that did not exist before and like you said, organized it in a way where it's valuable to somebody. Like, he's not taking anything from anybody. I mean, I guess you could say, well, then it limits the amount of tie-dye opportunity there is out there, but I don't think that it does. I think if anything, it increases awareness, and people see that and they're like, that's way cool. I'm going to look at tie-dye stuff now. And it might create more opportunity for more people. I don't know.
Well, and then there's the argument that maybe it took away from XYZ shirt company, but XYZ shirt company probably should have innovated and had someone as passionate about making tie-dye shirts as it's taxi drivers and Uber. There was this huge push against Uber and whatever the other one is.
Lyft. Is that the one you're thinking about?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There was a huge push against them because they're like, you're going to put the taxi drivers out of business. Well, it does kind of suck for the taxi driver that is now out of business, but they didn't innovate. They didn't put themselves in a position where, people are like, hey, I can just get on my cell phone and I can find a driver. But it also doesn't mean that they're completely out of work now. They probably went out and found something to figure out how to add value.
Or maybe the taxi drivers went out of maybe the taxis went out of business because all the drivers became Uber drivers.
Yes.
And so you're not taking a job away from an Uber guy or from a taxi guy. You might make a taxi company go out of business, but like you said, they can find other ways to add value.
Yeah.
But a lot of those people probably became Uber drivers, and that's why there's no more taxi drivers, because everybody left that for a better model. I don't know.
Yeah, it's cool.
It is cool.
It's easy to just say it's cool, but all of this is just so much fun. People just can jump in and fail forward.
Yeah.
Just go for it and see what happens. Like, that's really the only way to succeed. You just have to jump in, mess up a lot, learn from it. Okay, cool. I learned from my mistakes and keep going. It really is a world of abundance, and we can learn to shift that mindset. Maybe the lesson is go out and pick something on the menu and don't look at the price. Like, I want to get a ribeye, so I'm just going to go get a ribeye. Well, that's $100 ribeye. Well, go make $100 extra.
Yeah.
I mean, that's easy to
I
say,
think
and it almost sounds insensitive, but man, we should enjoy life. Like, you don't have... T. Harv Eker talks about chicken and steak. If you're going to look at the menu and you're going to look at the price, you're always going to get the chicken. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants chicken.
And
You
it's
want
the
the
mentality
steak.
thing.
Yeah.
Like, you just go, oh, well, I'm just a steak eater, so I know I'm going to have to make more money every month or whatever. you know?
Yeah.
I was listening to some Jordan Peterson, a couple points that kind of reminded me of that. He said that when he was first starting to go do speeches and stuff, he, wasn't well known at that time and was kind of, financially not extremely well off. He went and bought an $8,000 suit, which he said was a significant thing. He said, like, the car that he was driving around at the time was like a fraction of that. So he buys this suit that's worth more than the car that he's driving around. But he said it was the best thing he ever did, because when he put that suit on, it was kind of a reflection of the quality that he was going to give to the people he was speaking to. And so he almost felt like he held himself to a higher standard because he was wearing an $8,000 suit.
That's cool.
And he was talking to somebody, I think it was Jocko maybe, and Jocko had something similar that he's like, yeah, I did that too, and this is what it was. And, so even though they're kind of going out into the unknown then, but it helped them it helped their mindset, it's totally a mindset thing. It just helped them hold themselves to a higher standard.
Jack Canfield, with the Success Principles, he talks about that. He went to a store with his boss, and I don't know why. Like, I've never gone to a shirt store with my boss, except for my wife. She's my boss.
Yeah, that's right.
But he goes in, and the boss buys like $500 or $600 shirts, and this is back probably the 80s, so $100 shirt was
big deal.
a big deal.
Mm-hmm. I have never bought a $100 shirt
me
in my
either.
life.
So he goes, well, if my boss is buying one, I probably need to buy something. So he said it was way out of his comfort zone, but he buys this $100 white button-up collared shirt. And he said it actually sat in his closet for a couple of weeks because he just didn't feel comfortable. He's like, one, it was way out of my comfort zone to buy it. Two, it was way out of my comfort zone to wear it. So a couple of weeks later, he puts it on. It's like, this is the best shirt I've ever had. He's like, I don't want to take it off. It fits well. It moves with me. This is amazing. And then ends up where all of his shirts were from that store. And now he wears a whole wardrobe of $100 shirts. But it just took that getting out of his comfort zone to put that shirt on and be like, oh, I did not know what I was missing out on.
And he probably felt better about himself wearing the shirt and different things like that too.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's cool. See, I'm not a dresser. Like, success to me is keeping shorts on all day.
Yeah.
Like, I have no desire to put a suit on and go out and do it.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of the mindset shift. Like, to me, success is wearing shorts. To him, success is putting on that $100 shirt and going out. Jordan Peterson is that $8,000 suit and saying, hey, look, I'm helping the world here.
And different circumstances.
Yes.
His people would expect them to dress that way. The people that I, like the guys that I'm around and, whatever every day, like shorts and it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But, kind of adding value, knowing where you're going and what's going to add value in those situations for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And what success is in the different situations.
Yep. And that's the cool thing is you can mold and structure that. If you want to wear shorts and a Hawaiian shirt every day, there is a business that you can run
Yeah.
where you can wear shorts and a Hawaiian shirt every day. If you want to dress up in a suit and a nice $100 shirt every day, there is a business that you can start to do that. It is so cool.
It is
and
cool.
we keep saying that, but
Yeah.
that's what it is.
That's because it's true. Well, that's probably a good place to end it. I liked everything you just said right there. That should be a soundbite in and of itself. There's a business for you. If you want to wear a suit, there's a business for you. If you want to wear shorts, there's a business for you.
That's right.
It's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it was a fun episode. I had a good time.
Yeah, it was fun to talk about.
It was fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That's it. Yeah, we'll see you guys and have a good day.
See ya.